Most men think they understand women. They think attraction is about confidence, about money, about dominance, about saying the right lines at the right time. But after years of loving, losing, rebuilding, and learning the hard way, I realized something deeper. Women are not complicated. They are precise. Precise in what they feel. Precise in what they notice. Precise in what slowly makes them stay, or silently walk away. The tragedy is this. Most men lose a woman not because they lacked love, but because they lacked awareness. They missed the subtle shifts. They ignored the quiet signals. They underestimated the emotional currents beneath the surface. This video is not about manipulating women. It is about understanding the psychological fault lines that either strengthen a bond, or fracture it. If you master these, you don't chase love. You become the man it naturally stays with. Welcome to the channel, Stoic Love Wisdom. This is where lessons about love will help you better understand this complex emotion. In today's video, we will learn together about 7 weaknesses of women that men need to know, psychological secrets. These are things that can change the way you perceive love in life. Be prepared because the secrets and insights you are about to discover may make you look back at yourself and the relationships around you. Before starting, find a quiet space, put on your headphones and relax. Let your mind completely immerse in these shares and enjoy every wonderful moment. Are you ready to discover new things about love? Let's start this journey with us right now. #1. The first weakness, she needs to be truly heard, not fixed. Let me speak to you as a man who has made mistakes. I used to think love was about solving problems. When a woman I cared about came to me with tears in her eyes, would straighten my back like a warrior preparing for battle. I would analyze, diagnose, offer solutions. I thought I was being strong, logical, reliable. But I was wrong. The first weakness most men misunderstand is this. A woman's deepest emotional vulnerability is her need to feel heard, not corrected, not managed, not instructed, but understood. And if you miss this, you will slowly lose her, even while standing right beside her. A woman does not open her emotions casually. When she speaks about what hurt her, what confused her, what made her anxious, she is not presenting a puzzle for you to solve. She is offering you access to her inner world. That is not weakness in the sense of fragility. It is vulnerability. And vulnerability is power, but only in the hands of someone who can hold it properly. The Stoics teach us something powerful here. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that we do not control events, only our response to them. When she speaks emotionally, the event is her expression. Your reaction is what determines the outcome of the relationship. Most men react with ego. We interrupt. We defend. We minimize. We try to win the conversation. But a woman's emotional system is extremely sensitive to invalidation. The moment she feels dismissed, even subtly, something inside her closes. And once that door closes too many times, she will stop trying to be understood by you. Then one day, she will simply be quiet. And you will mistake her silence for peace. It is not peace. It is resignation. Let me tell you what experience has taught me. When she says, "I feel like you don't prioritize me," she is not asking for a schedule adjustment. She is asking, "Do I matter to you?" When she says, "You've changed," she is not conducting a personality analysis. She is asking, "Am I still safe with you?" If you respond with logic alone, you will lose the emotional battle every time. Stoicism is not emotional suppression. It is emotional discipline. And emotional discipline means you do not let your defensiveness control your tongue. When she speaks, your task is simple. Be still. Not passive. Not weak. Still. Hold your posture. Slow your breathing. Look into her eyes. Let her finish. You do not need to agree with everything she says. But you must understand what she feels. There is a difference. Here is what most men do wrong. She expresses frustration. He hears accusation. She expresses fear. He hears criticism. She expresses loneliness. He hears attack. And because he hears attack, he prepares to defend. But if you are truly strong, you do not need to defend every perceived blow. You evaluate calmly. Ask yourself, is she trying to hurt me, or is she afraid of losing connection? 9 times out of 10, it is fear. Fear of distance. Fear of abandonment. Fear of not being valued. And that is the weakness, her fear of emotional invisibility. A woman can endure stress. She can endure hardship. She can endure external chaos. But she struggles deeply when she feels emotionally unseen by the man she trusts. Now listen carefully. This does not mean you become her emotional servant. It does not mean you tolerate disrespect. It does not mean you abandon logic. It means you master timing. First, validate emotion. Then, introduce reason. Say, I understand that this made you feel unimportant. Pause. Then later. Let's find a solution together. Notice the order. Emotion first. Solution second. If you reverse the order, she feels unheard. If you follow the order, she feels safe. And when a woman feels safe, her loyalty deepens. In my younger years, I thought dominance created attraction. Now I know something better. Emotional steadiness creates trust. Trust creates softness. Softness creates intimacy. A man who can remain composed while a woman expresses intense emotion is rare. And rarity is attractive. Do not fear her tears. Do not rush her storms. Stand like a mountain. The Stoic does not silence emotion. He contains it without being consumed by it. When she speaks, do not prepare your response. Prepare your presence. Because in love, presence is power. And if you learn this lesson, truly learn it, you will discover something profound. The moment she feels deeply heard by you, she will open parts of herself that no manipulation could ever access. Not because you controlled her, but because you understood her. That is not weakness exploited. That is vulnerability honored. And a woman never forgets the man who makes her feel understood without making her feel small. Master this first principle. The rest becomes easier. #2. The second weakness, she fears being replaced, not because she is insecure, but because she invests deeply. Let me tell you something most men will never admit. A woman does not fear another woman. She fears becoming ordinary in your eyes. And that fear, quiet, subtle, often unspoken, is one of her deepest emotional vulnerabilities. I learned this not from books, but from loss. When a woman gives herself emotionally, she does not do it halfway. She invests her attention, her time, her body language, her future imagination. When she chooses you, she reorganizes parts of her inner world around your presence. And that is why the possibility of being replaced does not feel like competition. It feels like erasure. Men often misunderstand this. We think jealousy is about control. We think insecurity is about weakness. We think reassurance is unnecessary once commitment is declared. But a woman's attachment system works differently. When she senses a shift in your attention, even a subtle one, her nervous system reacts before logic does. If your tone changes, if your messages shorten, if your enthusiasm fades, If your eyes wander just a little longer than before, she notices. Not because she is paranoid, but because she is emotionally observant. And here lies the second weakness. She is deeply affected by the fear of losing her emotional position in your life. The Stoics teach us about impermanence. Everything changes. People change. Circumstances change. Emotions change. But here is what experience has shown me. While men often detach gradually, women sense detachment instantly. You may think, I'm just stressed. I'm just busy. It's nothing. But to her, distance is data. And data becomes narrative. The narrative becomes fear. And fear becomes behavior. She might become more clingy. Or colder. Or more dramatic. Or strangely quiet. Most men react to the behavior. Very few examine the cause. And the cause is often this. She is trying to measure whether she still matters. Let me be clear. This does not mean you must constantly reassure her like a boy begging for approval. That is weakness. But emotional negligence is also weakness. A strong man understands something crucial. Consistency is more powerful than intensity. Grand gestures do not secure a woman's heart. Emotional reliability does. If yesterday you were affectionate, attentive, present, and today you are distant without explanation, her mind will fill the gap. And the mind, when uncertain, rarely creates optimistic stories. In my younger years, I believed attraction required unpredictability. Be mysterious. Be unavailable. Keep her guessing. That works. Briefly. But long-term attraction is built on emotional security, not confusion. A woman who feels secure does not become boring. She becomes softer. More feminine. More supportive. More loyal. But when she feels uncertain about her position, she becomes defensive. And here is where many men fail the test. Instead of calmly reinforcing their commitment through action, they mock her concern. Why are you overthinking? You're being dramatic. You're insecure. Those words do not calm fear. They validate it. Because now she feels both replaceable and misunderstood. The Stoic approach is different. A Stoic man does not overreact to jealousy. He does not become defensive when questioned. He does not escalate emotionally. He observes. He understands that behind most emotional reactions is a request. Show me that I still matter. And showing does not require poetry. It requires alignment. Your words must match your behavior. Your attention must match your claims. Your energy must remain steady. You do not need to constantly say, "You are the only one." But your actions should make her feel chosen. Not once. Repeatedly. There is something profound about being chosen every day. Not because there are no other options. But because you have options, and you still choose her. That is what calms her deepest fear. And here is the paradox. The more secure she feels, the less she clings. The more valued she feels, the less she competes. The more chosen she feels, the more she relaxes. Security does not reduce attraction. It stabilizes it. Let me leave you with something I learned the hard way. Women do not leave only because of betrayal. They leave because of emotional displacement. The moment she feels like she is slowly losing her place in your heart, she begins preparing herself emotionally for departure. Even while still physically present. And by the time you notice, she has already detached. That is why awareness matters. Not paranoia. Not control. Awareness. Watch your consistency. Watch your tone. Watch your presence. If you decide to be with her, stand firm in that decision. A Stoic man does not make someone feel temporarily special. He makes her feel intentionally chosen. And when a woman feels intentionally chosen, her loyalty becomes natural, not forced. Master this principle. Because nothing weakens a relationship faster than making a woman feel replaceable. And nothing strengthens it more than making her feel irreplaceable, through quiet, consistent action. Love is not only about happy moments, but also about challenges that help us realize our inner strength. It is through difficulties that we learn patience, tolerance, and how to love without losing ourselves. This is also the reason why I share stories here, so that you can find calmness and wisdom in your journey of love. If you feel these words touch you, please take a second to click like to spread this message. And if you haven't subscribed yet, click subscribe with the notification bell, to always be the first to receive new shares. Don't forget to leave a comment below, share your feelings or a lesson you learned after listening to this story. Each line you share is a way for us to connect and accompany each other. Now, get ready, because the next part will bring you even deeper insights. #3. The third weakness, she is drawn to calm strength, and disturbed by emotional chaos. There is something I wish someone had told me when I was younger. A woman does not fall for noise. She falls for stability. Not the loud man. Not the flashy man. Not the one who dominates every room with his voice. She is drawn to the man who can dominate himself. And here lies the third vulnerability, the one few men understand. A woman is deeply affected by a man's emotional state. If you are unstable, she cannot relax. If you are reactive, she cannot feel safe. If you are ruled by anger, ego, or impulse, she will feel it before you ever say a word. And no matter how attractive you are, chaos erodes desire. When I was younger, I thought intensity was power. I believed that strong emotion showed passion. That jealousy showed love. That anger showed authority. But passion without control is volatility. Jealousy without discipline is insecurity. Anger without restraint is weakness. And women sense weakness and emotional instability immediately. Not consciously, perhaps, but biologically. A woman's nervous system is wired to scan for safety. Not just physical safety. Emotional safety. Can this man remain composed under pressure? Can he hold tension without exploding? Can he face disagreement without losing himself? If the answer is no, her attraction will slowly fracture. The Stoics understood something timeless. You cannot control external events, but you must master your internal response. In relationships, this is everything. Because a woman's emotional world fluctuates. There will be days of warmth, days of doubt, days of sensitivity, days of storm. If both of you are storms, the relationship becomes a battlefield. But if you are the mountain, the storm passes. That is not dominance. That is grounded masculinity. Let me make this practical. She challenges you emotionally. She tests your patience. She questions your decision. She becomes upset over something small. Most men react. They raise their voice. They withdraw coldly. They become sarcastic. They try to win. But the moment you fight to win, you lose attraction. Because the strongest man in the room is the one who does not need to prove he is strong. Calmness under emotional pressure is rare. And rarity creates respect. Understand this clearly. A woman may forgive mistakes. She may forgive flaws. She may forgive immaturity. But consistent emotional unpredictability exhausts her. If she has to walk on eggshells around your temper, she will eventually choose peace over passion. If she cannot predict whether you will respond with calm or explosion, her nervous system never rests. And desire cannot grow in tension. This is the weakness. She is deeply affected by your emotional instability. It disrupts her sense of safety. And without safety, attraction cannot root deeply. But here is the paradox. The more emotionally disciplined you are, the more emotionally free she becomes. When she knows you will not overreact, she feels safe expressing herself. When she knows you will not collapse under stress, she trusts your leadership. When she sees you handle conflict with composure, she relaxes into her feminine energy. And relaxation fuels attraction. I have seen men confuse emotional suppression with strength. They go silent. They shut down. They pretend not to care. That is not stoicism. That is avoidance. True Stoic strength is presence without panic. You can acknowledge emotion without being controlled by it. You can say, "I'm upset, but I won't let it rule me. I disagree, but I will stay calm. I feel anger, but I choose discipline." When a woman sees this, something shifts. Respect deepens. And where respect deepens, desire stabilizes. Let me speak plainly. If you want to be irresistible in a lasting way, master your reactions. Control your tone. Control your posture. Control your breathing. Control your impulses. Not to appear perfect, but to remain centered. Because in moments of emotional turbulence, she is unconsciously asking one question. Can I lean on this man? Not financially. Not socially. Emotionally. If you collapse when challenged, she cannot lean. If you rage when frustrated, she cannot lean. If you retreat into cold silence, she cannot lean. But if you remain steady, she will lean naturally. And when a woman trusts your steadiness, her admiration grows quietly but powerfully. Attraction that begins with excitement must be sustained by stability. Anyone can be thrilling for a moment. Very few can be grounding for a lifetime. Be the grounding force. Be the calm in conflict. Be the restraint in anger. Be the stillness in uncertainty. Because the third weakness is not that she is fragile. It is that she responds deeply to the emotional climate you create. Master yourself, and you master the atmosphere of the relationship. And when your presence feels like peace, she will not seek chaos elsewhere. #4. The fourth weakness, she feels your energy before she believes your words. Let me tell you something that took me years to understand. A woman listens to your tone more than your sentences. She watches your eyes more than your explanations. She feels your energy before she analyzes your logic. And that is her fourth vulnerability. She is extremely sensitive to emotional inconsistency between what you say and what you radiate. You can say, "Nothing's wrong." But if your jaw is tight, if your voice drops half a tone colder, if your body turns slightly away from her, she already knows. Not because she is psychic, but because she is perceptive. Men are trained to focus on words. Women are trained, by biology and social conditioning, to read signals. Micro-expressions. Breathing rhythm. Posture shifts. Eye contact. You may think you are hiding irritation. You may think you are masking disappointment. You may think silence equals control. But your nervous system always leaks the truth. And she detects the leak. This is why many men feel misunderstood. They say, "I told you everything is fine. But she replies, "It doesn't feel fine." And she is often right. The Stoics spoke about harmony between thought and action. Integrity is not just moral, it is energetic. If your internal state and external behavior are misaligned, tension forms. And women are highly attuned to tension. Not because they are dramatic, but because emotional survival depends on reading subtle cues. Historically, the ability to detect shifts in a man's mood could determine safety, stability, or danger. That instinct still exists. So when your energy shifts, even slightly, she registers it. And if you deny it, something fractures. Not loudly. Quietly. Trust erodes when perception and words do not match. Let me be direct. One of the fastest ways to weaken attraction is to say the right words with the wrong energy. You tell her you care, but you're distracted. You say you're listening, but your eyes drift to your phone. You claim you're calm, but your breathing is sharp. She may not confront you immediately, but internally, she recalibrates. Because incongruence signals uncertainty. And uncertainty disrupts emotional security. I used to believe control meant silence. If I was irritated, I would suppress it. If I was disappointed, I would bury it. If I was stressed, I would mask it. I thought that was strength. But suppression is not control. Suppression creates emotional static. And static distorts connection. A Stoic man does not deny his emotions. He acknowledges them, then regulates them. He does not say, "Nothing is wrong," when something clearly is. He says, calmly, "I'm dealing with something internally. It's not about you." Notice the difference. One denies reality. The other leads it. The fourth weakness is this. She is deeply disturbed by emotional ambiguity. If she senses tension but receives no clarity, her mind begins to create explanations. And the mind rarely creates kind stories. Did I do something wrong? Is he losing interest? Is he pulling away? Silence becomes suspicion. Distance becomes doubt. All because energy and language were not aligned. Here is the deeper truth. Women do not need you to be emotionally perfect. They need you to be emotionally coherent. If you are upset, own it calmly. If you are tired, say it clearly. If you need space, communicate it directly. Certainty calms the nervous system. Mystery excites in early attraction. But in connection, clarity sustains. There is something powerful about a man whose internal and external states match. His voice is steady. His eyes are direct. His posture is grounded. His words are measured. No hidden storms. No passive aggression. No emotional smoke. That kind of presence feels safe. And safety, in love, is magnetic. Let me give you a practical example. Instead of saying, "It's fine," while clearly irritated, say, "I felt disrespected earlier. Let's talk about it calmly." That is strength. Instead of going cold when overwhelmed, say, "I need an hour to reset. I'll come back centered." That is leadership. You are not exposing weakness. You are demonstrating emotional command. The Stoic principle here is simple. Master the space between stimulus and response. When emotion rises, pause. Regulate your breathing. Relax your shoulders. Slow your speech. Then speak from intention, not impulse. When your energy is steady, your words carry weight. When your energy is chaotic, even beautiful words lose credibility. Remember this. She does not fear your anger as much as she fears your unpredictability. She does not fear your stress as much as she fears your silence. She does not fear conflict as much as she fears emotional fog. Clarity is calming. Consistency is grounding. Congruence is attractive. If you want to lead in love, align your internal state with your external expression. Be honest without being explosive. Be calm without being cold. Be present without being passive. Because the fourth weakness is not manipulation through signals. It is this. She trusts what she feels more than what you say. So make sure what she feels is steadiness, not confusion. Master your energy, and your words will finally be believed. #5. The fifth weakness, she is moved by subtle attention, not grand performance. When I was younger, I believed women were impressed by spectacle. Big gestures. Expensive dinners. Public declarations. Dramatic passion. I thought intensity proved value. But time, and a few painful lessons, taught me something deeper. A woman is not most affected by what is loud. She is most affected by what is attentive. And that is her fifth vulnerability. She is deeply moved by subtle, consistent, thoughtful attention. Not because she is materialistic. Not because she is demanding. But because attention equals significance. Let me explain this carefully. When a woman shares something small, her favorite childhood snack, a song that reminds her of a memory, a stressful meeting on Thursday, a detail about her family, she is not just speaking. She is revealing fragments of her inner map. If you forget those fragments, she feels unseen. If you remember them weeks later, she feels valued. This is not manipulation. It is awareness. The Stoics spoke often about intentional living. To move through life unconsciously is weakness. To observe carefully is strength. In love, observation becomes intimacy. When you notice the small shifts in her mood. When you remember the details she thought you overlooked. When you act without being asked. You communicate something powerful. I see you. And being seen is one of the deepest emotional desires a woman carries. Understand this difference. Grand gestures create excitement. Subtle consistency creates attachment. You can buy her flowers once and impress her. But remembering she has an important presentation and sending a calm, supportive message that morning. That builds trust. You can post her publicly and create a spectacle. But quietly adjusting your schedule to support her when she's overwhelmed. That builds emotional safety. The fifth weakness is this. She is vulnerable to the man who pays attention without being told to. Now be careful. This does not mean becoming overly accommodating. It does not mean losing your backbone. It does not mean obsessing over pleasing her. Stoic love is not servitude. It is intentional effort without emotional desperation. There is strength in subtlety. A man who notices details without advertising that he notices them creates quiet impact. For example, she once mentioned she feels anxious before flying. Months later, before a trip, you calmly say, "Text me when you land. I know flights make you uneasy." No drama. No theatrical tone. Just awareness. That moment will weigh more than a dozen extravagant surprises. Why? Because it proves presence. And presence is rare. Most people listen to reply. Few listen to remember. Most men chase novelty. Few master attentiveness. And women instinctively soften toward the man who demonstrates awareness without being prompted. Let me be honest with you. Neglect rarely happens through cruelty. It happens through distraction. A man becomes busy. Focused on work. Consumed by goals. Lost in routine. He assumes stability means effort is no longer required. But attention withdrawn feels like affection withdrawn. Even if love is still present internally. And this is where many long-term relationships weaken. Not through betrayal. Through gradual inattentiveness. A Stoic man understands discipline extends to love. He does not love impulsively. He loves deliberately. He observes. He remembers. He acts calmly. He does not overwhelm her with constant validation. But he never lets her feel forgotten. There is power in balanced effort. Too little attention breeds insecurity. Too much anxious attention breeds suffocation. But steady, thoughtful gestures create grounding. Here is the deeper psychology. When you remember small details, you signal cognitive investment. When you act on those details, you signal emotional investment. Investment builds security. And security stabilizes desire. Because she feels chosen, not randomly, but consciously. I once thought mystery maintained attraction. Now I know attentiveness sustains it. Mystery excites briefly. But attentiveness anchors deeply. A woman who feels observed with care does not feel the need to compete for your focus. She relaxes. And when a woman relaxes emotionally, her affection becomes more natural, more generous, more loyal. The fifth weakness is not that she needs grand romance. It is that she responds strongly to quiet intentionality. Remember her preferences. Respect her sensitivities. Notice her patterns. Support her challenges. Not loudly. Not for applause. But because you choose to. A Stoic man does not love for performance. He loves with awareness. And awareness, steady, calm, consistent, is more powerful than any dramatic gesture. Master this principle. Because in the long run, it is not the man who impresses her, who keeps her heart. It is the man who remembers her. At this point, you may have seen yourself in the stories above, sometimes weak, sometimes strong, and sometimes not knowing what to do in love. But it is those moments that make us real and worthy of respect. If you feel the same, please click like to let me know you are here, accompanying me. And if you haven't clicked subscribe yet, don't hesitate, because every day I will share more stories and new lessons, to help you have a calmer view of love. Now, let's move on to the final part, where we will touch on deeper things. #6. The sixth weakness, she needs to feel desired, not assumed. There is a silent shift that destroys many relationships. Not betrayal. Not conflict. Not even distance. But assumption. The moment a man assumes, she knows I love her, that's enough. Something begins to fade. Because here is the sixth vulnerability. A woman needs to feel desired, not merely secured. There is a difference between being loved and being wanted. Loved can become stable. Wanted must remain alive. When attraction first begins, desire is effortless. You look at her differently. You initiate touch naturally. You compliment her without calculation. Your energy is charged. She feels it. And that feeling does something powerful. It affirms her femininity. But as time passes, routine sets in. Comfort replaces curiosity. Habit replaces pursuit. Presence replaces intensity. And slowly, subtly, the energy shifts. You still care for her. You still provide. You still stay. But your desire becomes quiet. Too quiet. A woman may not always articulate it. But she senses when your eyes no longer light up the same way. When physical affection becomes mechanical. When initiation declines. When admiration becomes rare. And here lies the weakness. She is deeply affected by the fear of no longer being wanted. Not replaced. Not abandoned. Just no longer desired. This does not mean she needs constant validation. It does not mean exaggerated compliments. It does not mean obsession. It means she needs to feel that your attraction is active. Not archived. A Stoic man understands this nuance. Stoicism is not emotional coldness. It is disciplined expression. And disciplined expression includes intentional desire. Let me explain something many men overlook. When you stop expressing desire, she does not immediately accuse you. She observes. She recalibrates. She wonders. Has he grown used to me? Am I still exciting to him? Does he still see me the way he once did? If reassurance does not come through action, insecurity begins to grow quietly. And insecurity changes behavior. She may seek more validation. She may become distant. She may overcompensate. Or she may emotionally detach. Not because she is unstable, but because the emotional feedback loop weakened. Desire is not just physical. It is energetic. It is the way you look at her when she enters a room. The way your hand rests on her waist without hesitation. The way you initiate closeness without being prompted. The way you notice her effort. A woman who feels desired feels alive in the relationship. A woman who feels merely accommodated feels tolerated. And tolerated affection eventually turns cold. Here is the paradox. Men often believe stability reduces the need for pursuit. But emotional and physical attraction require maintenance. Not dramatic intensity, but intentional ignition. You do not need to chase her like the beginning. But you must never stop choosing her actively. There is power in subtle dominance here. Not control, but confident initiation. A calm hand pulling her closer. A steady voice saying, "You look good tonight." A deliberate moment of undivided attention. No overacting. No desperation. Just grounded desire. The Stoics believed discipline builds strength. In love, discipline means not becoming lazy with attraction. Routine is comfortable. But unchecked comfort dulls polarity. You must remain present enough to see her. Not just live beside her. Because when desire fades, emotional doubt grows. And doubt erodes intimacy faster than conflict. I have seen relationships where everything looked stable. No arguments. No betrayal. No chaos. But there was no spark. No hunger. No admiration. No visible wanting. And eventually, she left. Not for someone richer. Not for someone more powerful. For someone who looked at her like she mattered. Desire communicates value. Not ownership. Not dependency. Value. A Stoic man does not beg. He does not chase anxiously. He does not overpraise. But he does not become indifferent. Indifference is the quiet killer of love. If you chose her, let your energy reflect that choice. Touch her with intention. Speak with warmth. Look with presence. Desire does not have to be loud. But it must be alive. The sixth weakness is not vanity. It is vulnerability to emotional neglect of attraction. She does not need to compete. She does not need to prove herself daily. But she does need to feel that your interest is active. Because when a woman feels desired by the man she respects, her confidence deepens. And when her confidence deepens, her loyalty strengthens. Master this. Do not let familiarity breed emotional laziness. Love her with steadiness. Desire her with intention. Choose her with energy. And she will not question her place in your life. Because she will feel it. Not just hear it. #7. The seventh weakness: she is drawn to a man with direction, and disturbed by a man without one. If there is one lesson life carved into me through failure, it is this. Love does not sustain a man. Purpose does. And when a man has no direction, even the strongest attraction begins to decay. Here is the seventh vulnerability. A woman is deeply unsettled by a man who lacks mission, discipline, or forward movement. Not because she is calculating. Not because she is hypergamous in some shallow sense. But because direction signals stability. And stability signals safety. In the early stages of love, emotion is enough. Chemistry is enough. Attention is enough. Excitement is enough. But as time unfolds, a deeper question forms in her mind. Where is this man going? Not just financially. Not just socially. Existentially. Does he stand for something? Is he building something? Is he becoming something? Or is he drifting? A man without direction becomes emotionally heavy. He overfocuses on the relationship. He becomes reactive to small changes. He seeks validation more often. He feels threatened more easily. Why? Because when a man has no external mission, he unconsciously makes the woman his mission. And that creates imbalance. A relationship cannot carry the full weight of a man's identity. It will collapse under that pressure. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, yet constantly reminded himself. You have work to do. Rise. Purpose disciplines emotion. Mission stabilizes ego. Vision reduces insecurity. When a man knows where he is going, he is less disturbed by temporary emotional turbulence. And that steadiness is magnetic. Let me speak plainly. A woman may tolerate a man's flaws. She may tolerate his imperfections. She may tolerate his occasional mistakes. But long-term, she struggles to respect stagnation. Not because she demands perfection, but because growth signals strength. If she sees you drifting, no goals, no structure, no self-improvement, a quiet doubt begins to grow. Will I outgrow him? That doubt is dangerous. Because once respect declines, attraction follows. Now understand something important. Direction does not mean obsession with money. It does not mean constant busyness. It does not mean neglecting her for ambition. It means you have a spine. A framework for your life. A code. You wake up with intention. You train your body. You sharpen your mind. You pursue something beyond comfort. Even small, steady progress is enough. Because progress signals leadership. And leadership creates polarity. When a man is mission-driven, something shifts in the relationship dynamic. He does not cling. He does not panic. He does not overreact to minor emotional waves. Because his identity is anchored. He loves her, but he is not lost in her. And paradoxically, that independence deepens attraction. A woman feels safest with a man who can stand alone. Not because he plans to leave, but because he does not need to hold on desperately. I have seen men abandon their growth once they secure love. Gym routines fade. Ambition softens. Discipline weakens. Drive dissolves. Comfort replaces hunger. And slowly, her perception shifts. Not immediately, but gradually. The spark dims when admiration fades. And admiration fades when forward motion stops. Here is the truth many avoid. Love thrives in motion. Two people evolving. Two people building. Two people rising. If you stagnate while she grows, distance forms. If you grow while she stagnates, imbalance forms. But if you both pursue development, respect compounds. The seventh weakness is not that she demands status. It is that she is sensitive to a man's trajectory. Upward movement inspires trust. Aimlessness creates doubt. A Stoic man understands that his duty is not only to love, but to become. To refine his character. To sharpen his discipline. To cultivate competence. Not to impress her, but because self-mastery is his responsibility. And self-mastery radiates security. Let me leave you with this. When you walk with direction, your energy changes. Your posture straightens. Your speech slows. Your decisions firm up. Your reactions calm down. Because you are anchored. And when a woman senses that anchor, she relaxes into your frame. Not submission. Alignment. She feels part of a journey. Not the entire source of it. Never make her your purpose. Invite her into your purpose. That is strength. That is balance. That is Stoic love. Master your path. Build your discipline. Chase your growth. And you will never need to chase her. Because a man who knows where he is going rarely walks alone for long. Conclusion. If you have listened carefully, you will understand something important. None of these weaknesses are flaws to exploit. They are vulnerabilities to honor. A woman's need to be heard. Her fear of being replaced. Her sensitivity to your emotional state. Her awareness of your energy. Her response to subtle attention. Her desire to feel wanted. Her attraction to a man with direction. These are not weaknesses in the sense of fragility. They are gateways. Gateways into trust. Gateways into intimacy. Gateways into loyalty. But only for the man disciplined enough to handle them. Stoic love is not manipulation. It is mastery of self first. You do not calm her by controlling her emotions. You calm her by controlling your reactions. You do not make her feel secure by restricting her world. You make her feel secure by becoming stable within yours. You do not maintain attraction by performing loudly. You maintain it by showing up consistently. The modern world teaches men to dominate. Stoicism teaches men to regulate. And a regulated man is rare. He listens without defensiveness. He reassures without desperation. He desires without dependency. He leads without arrogance. That is power. When you master your presence, her so-called weaknesses become strengths in the relationship. Because a woman who feels safe, chosen, desired, understood, and guided does not become difficult. She becomes devoted. And devotion is not demanded. It is earned, through steady character. Master yourself. The rest follows. Thank you for watching the whole video. I hope that today's sharing about love will bring you new perspectives and help you gain valuable lessons. If you find the video useful, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel and share it with your loved ones. I am very grateful for your companionship, and hope that each video will help you get closer to a happy and lasting love. See you in the next videos. Wish you a wonderful and inspired day.